Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon, honorable speaker. Good afternoon, honorable participants to the 13th series of the Sustainable Development Goals webinar series, proudly presented to you by Biro Kerjasama dan Hubungan Internasional Universitas Kristen Satya Wacana. Selamat sore, selamat datang, selamat bergabung kami ucapkan kepada seluruh peserta webinar SDGs, persembahan dari Biro Kerjasama dan Hubungan Internasional Universitas Kristen Satya Wacana. Dan di sore hari ini kita telah memasuki, tidak terasa, sudah sesi yang ke-13 dari rangkaian 17 seri SDGs Webinar Series. Dan sebelum kita memulai seri ke-13 di sore hari ini, izinkan saya untuk membacakan beberapa tata tertib kegiatan di sore hari ini. This is the participation guideline for the SDGs webinar series presented to you by BKHI UKSW. Number 1 is please all participants, microphone is now turned off upon entry to this Zoom room. Perlu kami informasikan bahwa mikrofon Anda telah kami nonaktifkan ketika Anda memasuki ruangan Zoom di sore hari ini. And number 2, please change your participant's name as follows: home university name student ID. For example, UKSW-RICO-67202001. Kami mohon kesediaannya dari seluruh peserta untuk dapat mengganti nama peserta Anda dengan format sebagai berikut: universitas asal, spasi nama depan, lalu spasi NIM, jika Anda adalah mahasiswa. Apabila Anda adalah perwakilan dari institusi lain ataupun dosen, staf dari UKSW maupun dari luar UKSW, dapat menuliskan nama institusi asal, spasi nama depan. Number 3, please type in your questions in the chat box, or you can also raise your hand and your microphone will be unmuted. The raise hand button is to be found in the reaction button. Anda dapat menuliskan pertanyaan Anda dalam kolom chat atau juga menggunakan fitur raise hand yang dapat diakses pada tombol reactions, maka kami akan mengizinkan agar mikrofon Anda bisa di-unmute. And last but not least, the evaluation form is to be announced towards the end of this session. Perlu kami informasikan juga bahwa form absensi dan evaluasi akan kami umumkan menjelang akhir dari sesi di sore hari ini. Please allow me to introduce you to our 13th speaker. That is the speaker for this afternoon's session. Derha Johan, MAM, PhD. And he is currently the head of the Master of Biology Study Program and also a lecturer at the Faculty of Biology at Universitas Kristen Satya Wacana. Izinkan saya untuk memperkenalkan secara singkat pembicara atau pemateri dari sesi ke-13 SDGs Webinar Series, di mana di sore hari ini kita akan mengangkat tema Climate Action, Take Urgent Action to Combat Climate Change and its Impacts. Dengan pembicara Bapak Derha Johan, MAM, PhD, selaku Ketua atau Kepala Program Studi di Magister Biologi, Fakultas Biologi Universitas Kristen Satya Wacana. Profil singkat dari Bapak Johan, beliau adalah Associate Professor di School of Biology di Satya Wacana Christian University. Sebelumnya juga menjadi Associate Professor di School of Biology Duta Wacana Christian University sejak 2009 hingga 2019 yang lalu. Lalu pada tahun 2010 hingga 2014 yang lalu menjadi rektor di Duta Wacana Christian University atau Universitas Kristen Duta Wacana. Lalu juga sempat menjadi Wakil Rektor bidang akademik di Duta Wacana Christian University, lalu juga menjadi Kepala School of Biology Duta Wacana Christian University, dan jabatan terakhir beliau saat ini sebagai Department Head di School of Biology di Magister Program at Satya Wacana Christian University. Without further ado, let me share the screen with Pak Johan. Pak Johan, the screen is now yours. Silakan. Kami persilakan kepada Pak Johan untuk dapat menyampaikan materi. Ya, terima kasih.
Ya, terima kasih. Saya mau share screen dulu. Apa sekarang sudah bisa lihat di screen?
Sudah Pak, cuma belum full screen. Ya.
Oke. Ya, sekarang saya full screen. Oke. Good afternoon, everybody. Nice to have sharing session with you, especially in these very important topics. I'm considering it's not only important topics, but the roles of us in this climate change. What are the impacts and what do we prepare for urgent actions? So it is nice that we can share it is nice that we can share the information. Sebentar, ada itu ini. Oh ya. Okay. Yeah, I forget. Yeah. The presentation outline will be designed in as 8 topics. The first one, greenhouse effects and greenhouse gases. Yeah, just a bit review of environmental chemistry. Followed by global emissions and global temperature, the information of special concern. And we move from global level to national level, Indonesia level of emission, observed impacts, and some predicted impacts, especially predicted to 2030 and 2050. And we review a bit about global summits, regional and national targets, and then some frame of climate actions. And then I describe some ideas or reshaping some programs that already have developed and conducted in many areas in the world, communities' willingness to pay, public participation and citizen science, and the latest index, the latest performance of Indonesia's climate change performance, and what will we do from here? That's a big question. Let's review greenhouse effects and greenhouse gases. First of all, solar energy normally pass through the atmosphere and touch the Earth's surface. But there are some reflection, and also absorption of that energy. The first possibility is some solar energy, number 2A, is reflected out into space by clouds, aerosol gases, and the atmosphere. So it goes back to the outer space. Second possibility, second process, some solar energy is reflected by the Earth's surface. And that we feel the warm weather, some solar energy is absorbed by the atmosphere. Now, number 3, some possible further after the process, the energy which was not reflected or absorbed by the atmosphere hits the Earth's surface. So it's called greenhouse effects. The temperature of Earth's surface getting warmer. Number 4, after heated, the heat surface of the Earth radiates infrared energy to the upper atmosphere. By doing that, some of the radiations, some of the long wave radiation is not reflected and radiated out into the space. That makes greenhouse gases trap the heat by reflecting some of the low wave radiation back to the Earth's surface, like a flip-flop. Go to the outer space, and then some of them back again the greenhouse gases and reflect down to the Earth, the heats. There are many greenhouse gases, but yeah, there are 3 main greenhouse gases: carbon dioxide, CO2, methane, CH4, nitrous oxide, N2O, and fluorinated gases. The CO2 gas is used as the reference gas. So the potency, global warming potential, the GWP of CO2 is used as the reference, and its value considered as 1. The other greenhouse gases, the GWP, the global warming potential, is determined, calculated, and compared to the GWP of CO2. As we have seen here, methane is 21 times of its global warming potential compared to CO2. Of course, the greenhouse gases is more than 1, more than carbon dioxide. They are different chemicals, but the combined effects or the combined amounts of them are transformed into one parameter, GWP, so all can be compared each other. Global warming potential, a measure of how much a given mass of greenhouse gas is estimated to contribute to global warming. They are the main greenhouse gases. And we move to the subtopic number 2, global emissions and global temperature. First, we look at in 2010, left at the bottom, global greenhouse emission, CO2 equivalent, millions ton, MT. Look at the dark blue area, the dark blue area in the United States, Alaska, China. And what about Indonesia? Well, Indonesia is just like in the middle range with a bit light blue here, although not so light. Yeah, maybe 1.375, the dates category fall into this range. And here, since the background level of temperature uprising in the 1850, in the mid of 19th century, it goes up almost exponentially. Look at here, 35 billion tons CO2 emissions. And by the vertical lines, we can compare that in just a few years ago, 2017, China as number 1 contributor, followed by United States, number 2, and some areas of the world. And this is the prediction. This is the CO2, the stressor. And here, the response, the environmental effects caused by the increase of that temperature, of that CO2 emissions. Since the background is very considered no significant temperature change, less than 0.2 degree Celsius. Now increase up to 1.2. The main target not increase by then 1.5. That's too many. So that's my target, but it depends on the scenario, the calculation using some models, even the increase may be even higher than 1.5. Here the map of the increased anomaly temperature compared with the temperature in the 1800s, 1900s. We see that main affected areas in the northern globes, Europe, Western Europe, Eastern Europe, Russia, there and some parts of Northern America. While in the tropical areas, yeah, they get some influence almost homogeneously, but to be a lesser. Here we can see the graphs, the world has been getting warmer. Annual mean land temperature above or below average. Here, before 1900s, the temperature assuming there has been no increase in the global temperature. And starting from that until now, about fluctuations between 1 and 1.4, something like that. And that increase has been provided by the estimation using some models and assumptions. With if the assumption the CO2 concentration is constant, the increase will be like that towards the 22nd century. But if the growth, the emissions far beyond predicted, it would be even higher. Global warming can reach 3 degrees Celsius. This is the main assumption used, not more than 1.5, low growth models, P1. With harder efforts, many scientists in the world prefer to a bit more, less than this blue line. How about Indonesia now? We see starting from 2000 until a few years ago, 2016, Indonesia, one of the main contributors of climate change, but it's also a country which is most affected by the impact of climate change itself. We see the main sector is energy. This one, industry, number a bit small here with the red line, industry, and the blue line, forestry, and the green one. The blue indicates from peak fire that in 2015 rose the levels of CO2 emissions because of pit fire in Kalimantan and some parts of Sumatra. So we can see that the two main contributors for CO2 in Indonesia, energy sectors and forestry sectors. And this one, I provide you some data, total greenhouse gas emissions, top 10 emitting provinces in Indonesia. Surprisingly, North Sumatra is number 1. Maybe oil palm industry, agriculture, forest, and also energy sectors. Lots of activities there that makes them number 1. And Riau, central, one of the sources of oil and also palm oil plantations. even Bali ranked number 10. See, and the other provinces, of course, they are ranked number 11 until 34 of our country. We look at these graphs, only 2 province from Java to be listed in the top 10, East Java and West Java, because there are many of industries in their 2 provinces compared to the other 4 provinces in Java Island. So we know that Indonesia's total emissions and where are the emissions. The other one is the prediction, the model prediction of our country, especially 2025 up to until 2030. And we will see in the left graph, left map, generally Sumatra and Java are in middle to high risk situations here, while the other province, including the eastern part of Indonesia, still in the low risk status. But that situation before COVID, we don't know about the relationship between COVID and our scheme, our strategy to fight against climate change. What's the impact of these 2 events? And this is the drought, making Kalimantan and Sulawesi the potential areas for agriculture. Normally, in many times ago, more than 100 years ago in the Java Island, and at the early step of Indonesia independence in the 60s, 70s, southern Sumatra. And now we should find more places in Kalimantan and Sulawesi. It is still safe according to this model prediction. And how about the water shortage? More or less, it's similar situation with the Java in very high risk and high risk to very high risk. Water shortage, especially in Jakarta and surrounding areas. And now, even South Sumatra, Lampung is already in that position, and South Sulawesi also, and North Sulawesi, we will have high risk situations in water shortage in those areas. But in the projected areas of new capital in East Kalimantan, looks like it's okay. No drought, not many droughts, and also still water supply is adequate. How about Indonesia as an area? Our seas, our oceans, projected sea level rise up to 2050. How many centimeters per year? And as we see, surprisingly, in the eastern part of Papua, there are blue zone with 1.73 centimeters per year, while in the southern Sumatra and Java Island, 1.74 sea level rise. So it threatens cities in southern of Java, including Jogja as the center of tourism. Here, and I don't see a lesser effect in Italy. While high sea rise, we can see in Java Sea, between Java and Kalimantan here. While in the Maluku, North Maluku, it's also high sea level rise. And if we see the right picture, you almost see that dark blue areas indicates the fishing will decrease by 30 to 50%, a quite significant impact for Indonesia as a country that try to increase protein intake through fish consumption. It will be influenced not only by plastics and pollution, but by global warming, especially in high fishery areas, such as eastern part of Indonesia and Sulawesi. That will be decreased by 30 to 50%. Especially under worst case scenario, if the temperature increased by 3 degrees, it is even worse, or the worst case situation. How about multiple climate hazards? 2 or 3 years ago, there are lots of natural disasters occurred in our country: cyclones, floods, volcanoes, droughts, and it has occurred. The multiple climate hazards spread to the countries in many areas, not only in Java, but in other parts, especially in close to the ring of volcanic western part of Sumatra, southern part of Java. There's almost occurs of the volcanic eruption and earthquakes. Here, the colors indicates the red or close to brown, dark red color, high risk of multiple climate hazard index, and still most of the parts of Java Island. Yeah, so now it's maybe correct for our president to move the capital from Jakarta to East Kalimantan, because it looks like Java Island has faced many problems: water shortage, drought, increase of sea level rise, volcanic eruption, and many others. And how about the adaptive capacity index? The adaptive capacity index refers to the community ability, so the socio-economics, and then the applied technology, including infrastructures in the areas. It looks like in Java and Sumatra, the community, the system, the adaptive capacity system, it looks like not even close to the highest value, although they're going to face high multiple climate hazards. That is, here, the adaptive capacity considered average. So in mitigations, in the next few years, we should increase the adaptive capacity index of these two highly populated areas in our country. And then to the fourth subtopics, we are now in the situation after Paris Agreement, Conference of the Parties 21, the 21st COP, Conference of the Parties, Paris Agreement, prepared the program for 2020 to 2030. Before that, the line of 20 years decided in Doha, which is a continuation of Kyoto Protocol, that most famous with greenhouse gas emissions. Some people even said that as Kyoto gases, because the global summit, the decision to reduce greenhouse gases starting from Kyoto Protocol. It indicates how far that we have applied commitment for global climate change reduction, starting from 1992 till now, more than 30 years, and still to be continued. And this climate summits, global summit consensus, already applied by some regional governments, especially in the European Union. European Union targeted to decrease by 20% in this year, last year, 2020, and further 2030 decreased by 40% and 80% by 2050. Hopefully, it is not an ambitious target or achievable target. And they also identified some sectors, some primary sectors that to be targeted in reduction of greenhouse gases. As we see, energy sectors number 1, transport, industry, and the others. Look like they are close to reach the target. How about Indonesia? And this is the summary of European Union. Decreased by 40% in 2030. Climate change, they have the programs until 2050. And Indonesian government in 2012 already made national action plan for climate change adaptation. But we have not evaluated this policy, this macro policy, how the implementation of this policy. Indonesia has signed in Paris Agreement, prepared for reduce its emission by 29 to 41%. But our emissions per capita data in 2015, Indonesia is still high, close to China and just a half of US. Emissions of greenhouse gases per capita in 2015. It means still a long way to go, but it is a must situation to be done by us. Indonesian green energy targets looks interesting. Coal minimum use reduced by 30% in 2025 and 25% oil maybe can achieve with 2025 electric cars and less than 20%. At least we already have the program and the monitoring to force that policy into actions. New and renewable energy, it looks like this is quite left behind. Although it's put as the first one, it looks like still in coal, oil, and gas. What the Indonesia Low Emission Network try to do? Develop and review low carbon development related policies. It is a top of its implementation. Improve and share information and knowledge on low emission technology. Yeah, quite good, although it's not as fast as we expect. Share best practice among its members. Here, the university can play a lot of roles. Improve access to low carbon financial resources. Yeah, this one too is interesting to be explored further. Indonesian government has designed climate change sectoral roadmap. Looks like the government is the main actor in efforts against climate change. Starting from 2010 until 2030, the programs, the 5 years program already been set up, including knowledge management, planning, and then set up regulations and development program and monitoring evaluation, MONEF. Looks like it's good on the paper, and we can see how the implementation. At least it's moved, although not as fast as we expect. Here, Indonesia has identified the 4 main vulnerabilities. Here, vulnerability assessment paired with emission status of greenhouse gases chemicals. Vulnerability assessment, which sectors of the environment that prone to be impacted. First, sea level rise, water availability, agriculture, and health. These are the main 4 sectors that mostly impacted by climate change. The interesting part, our Bappenas system of national development planning are combining the report from sectoral ministers, agriculture, marine fisheries, health, and so on, and then combine it in using scientific basis for two purposes: to get more update information of emission status and mitigation strategy, and then to assess the vulnerability and adaptation strategy. I'm going to explain some differences between the two in the next slides. Here, at least after we see the written programs of our government, as put it here, we can see how the implementations is quite old, 2000 to 2012. First, primary forest cover loss in Indonesia. Looks like first rank, the red one, Sumatra, followed by Kalimantan, followed by other areas, Sulawesi, Papua, and other areas of Indonesia. Still, the slopes is positive, increasingly high. Not to be straight line, but still up. And we compare the situation of forest loss in Indonesia with Brazil. While we compare, we see Brazil forest loss in the maximum areas in 2004. But after that, they can manage the forest. So here, forest loss until very minimum, quite minimum areas, from 3,000 to 500, most 1 per 16% decrease, 80% decrease. While in Indonesia, we can see all forest loss. Even the graphs, the line is increasing. Different, very different with that already found evaluated in Brazil. Brazil has 64% of its area forest, while Indonesia quite similar, 49%. In terms of the area of forest, is almost similar, but the implementation results is quite different. We should evaluate further what factors that influence these results. And now we arrive at our main discussion: urgent actions, current, very quick actions, local actions. The United Nations has provided 9 recommendations on climate action portfolios. The first, the two here, youth engagement and public mobilization, and social and political drivers. And we can see young people rally and protesting, science serving the common good. That's good, especially if they are university students. Now they work in the field, they come to the parliament house, the mayor, not only at the university, scientific speaking truth to the power. We have the solution. It's good to see that young people try to take the burdens and propose some idea. Climate justice now. Here, some female students. That's good movement. And here, with fewer people, developing citizen science with direct skills, simple technology, simple skill to monitor the quality, the water quality of rivers, of rivers in close to their area, and drinking water too, and some plants, growing some plants. Here we said social and political drivers. Maybe it is nice to know that young people join some political party, Green Party to fight for peace, social justice, and climate change, ecology. They are the main platform of this party. And not surprisingly, few years ago, a university in the United Kingdom offered climate change degree, a Bachelor of Science in climate change. So climate change, they consider it not as an interdisciplinary subject or study or research centers, but to be decided officially as an undergraduate degree, interdisciplinary climate change degree. It indicates their seriousness, to thoroughly understand the climate change, its impact, and preparing for actions. And of course, the power of social media in the current situation is very important, very fast, quick to fight climate change, and especially if generated, pioneered by the young people. Nature-based solutions and cities and local action, green cities, nature-based solutions, not far from us, Putrajaya Wetland, Malaysia. Here, Malaysia, they prepared some grass as a phytoremediator to accumulate some pollutants close to some facilities, hotels or whatsoever of offices, floating wetland, Mars estuary, accumulates some pollutants emitted by these facilities and industries. Even in the area, indigenous people are involved through environmental remediation and climate change. They are important part of our effort. In some city, nature-based solution to climate change in urban area. How nice. We and family during the weekend can walk in this pathway in urban forest with fresh air. COVID-19 is settled. And then this one, the Mars area in the city areas, maybe like in Tanjung Priok, North Jakarta, they make it like this. Nature-based solution to adapt for climate change in urban areas. With some topics in this book, urban wetlands and forests as a nature-based solution for climate change. Why urban areas important? Because it is predicted that 50% of the population move to big city, making the other 50% in the rural areas. Finance, banking on climate change, fossil fuel finance report card. The finance sectors in the industry and energy have also took part in the climate change solution, even though they get the critic change finance, not the climate, but they keep going on, especially this one, oil and gas climate initiative. In many occasions, they are the parties that to be blamed, but here they have some initiative, oil and especially from oil and gas corporations. Fashion industry, climate change leaderships, and wine industry sectoral. They also participate to support climate change actions. And there are some reports, China's energy transition under the pollution control and climate change. They're not dirty industry anymore. They're going to change the perception from dirty industry, cheap products, and now they move to climate change. The same that what they have done with COVID-19. And resilience, adaptation, mitigation, and strategy. While we mitigate, actually, this is also an action to reduce emissions from natural resource and anthropogenic man-made resources. Long-term global. The most important uncertainty, this effort should be last until 2050 and beyond. It means more than 20 years, 30 years. How can we have an endurance to design, to implement, and to evaluate climate change program for up to 30 years from now? So that's why it is good, it is maybe correct, start with young people, university students, for example. So this is the action to reduce the real emission, that's mitigation. But the social environment, the community, how action to manage the risk of the climate change impacts to the local community and then national up to national levels, reducing vulnerability. How these two like a traffic in continuous cycle. Here, mitigations against adaptation in the middle, the power of resilience to move mitigations and adaptation, reduce the number of greenhouse gases, and increase the capacity of the local community to adapt to the changes of the environment. See, the cycles keep going on. If we can move it regularly and fastly, that proves our resilience. Resilience gap. With years, of course, there is a gap, uncertainty between science and the reality. But by the time it's going 25 years, the uncertainty, the gap should be decreasing. That's everybody expecting like this. The scientists and also the general public. And we can see this is an example of Singapore. Singapore's climate change resilience framework. They teach their local community to understand the local climate, their vulnerabilities, and then they move to environmental management step-by-step programs, including the planning, options, monitoring, and the reviewing, and they back again. Action to evaluate interaction between mitigation and adaptation. Here, Singapore's government already developed resilience framework to combine both mitigation and adaptation, not between the two, but they further develop into more managerial steps that can be evaluated and observed. Number 6, community willingness to pay. It is interesting to know that American people, they are willing to pay 177 US dollars or 2.6 million rupees per year to avoid climate change. But they recommend the money will be used to develop clean energy sectors. 80% of the donors wants that money will be used for clean energy. And we can see 2.6 million rupiah per year, quite significant amount. But this amount much less compared to the British people. Graham et al. Willingness to pay for policies to reduce future deaths from climate change. The average, they are willing to pay 4.6 million rupiah per year. This is high, according to my opinion. This is high, 4.6 million. More than 2 times of Americans they are willing to pay. Mean amount willing to pay 19 pounds. And these are the distribution. Maybe the needy people, some poor community, they don't have enough money. They don't want to pay less than 0.24 or zero up to 30%. But interestingly, see, almost paradox, in the other 30%, they are willing to pay 4.8 to 12 million rupees per year. Climate change not serious according to this low-level payment, and then high 47%. So we can imply that this subpopulation, they're with higher income, well educated, they know some effects, many effects of climate change, they're aware and they prepare for that, and they're willing contribute 4.8 to 12 million rupees per year. The perceived seriousness of climate change impacts was related to willingness to pay. But how about Indonesia, our country? There are some relatively similar study, Gravitiani in Central Java, 3 cities, Semarang, Solo, and Magelang. They did a survey. They asked how much money, what kind of options that they want to contribute. 14.7% of respondents said they did not want to pay at all, status quo. And 35% only for 3, and most interesting part, 13.4 rarely agree for 3 and 4 is with these amounts, and then 14.1% 3, 4 is and transport. Or just a bit differences between the two. That's amount. For 14.7 respondents, that quite ignorance that they want to preserve status quo and did not want to pay, they ask further questions. And here, the 14% of the respondents said in further analysis for the survey, industries must pay. Government have to pay. I will pay if the community pay. I do not have money. I will not risk my money. It means about 60% that relate money, the amount of money they have. While 42% relate to no risk on climate change, no benefit for next generation, something that not related to the money. Not enough information on climate change mitigation. And even they said the program won't be success, 11.4%. This is the picture of our local community in Semarang, Solo, and Magelang, and possibly across Central Java. And they said, the respondents, 70%, the cost of climate change actions, not from them, but from the government mainly, 60%. Either local government, regional government, central government, they should pay. And local NGO, even local NGO, they charge it to pay 12%, making the total of this government 70 and this one, local NGO, 12. And our management, 2.8%. This is still, we should think about the difference between our community as a developing country and compared to the British citizen and American, as we described before. Even Greenpeace, they said they consider maybe this is an international NGO. They come with some financial support, as they should bear some responsibilities. And 22%, they even not quite well adapted to the climate change issues. No answers and say other things. Here, USA has supported Indonesian government in the last 2 slides. Cost of climate change to 2050. Current status in area impact up to 2050. We can see that province with negative impacts. First, Jakarta. Each citizen of Jakarta responsible for 3 million rupees a year in 2050. followed by West Papua, North Sulawesi, East Kalimantan, and my province, Yogyakarta. Even though their income quite low, but they should bear some responsibilities. Number 5, high in the country. Even Indonesia average all negatives. 0.4 millions, 400.000 rupiah. 28 from 34 provinces or 82% suffered negative impacts from this one. It means like only 6 from 34, 18%. Because of the change of rainfall, it is predicted that Gorontalo and Lampung will increase their income per capita by 2050 with 2 million rupiah in that year and 0.6 million rupiah. And then some other provinces outside of Java, West Nusa Tenggara, North Maluku, North Sumatra. I don't know. We don't need to relate it with distribution of wealth. So the models by USA is only 6 from 34. And we have, how about the local provincial budget, APBD? The APBD mostly reduced. For example, even East Nusa Tenggara, minus 220%. The impact, the climate change will impact the APBD by minus 220%. How come? This one of the poorest province in the country, and they will be hit significantly in 2050 if the model is right. Not Sulawesi. And then Yogyakarta, 140%. And of course, we can say that what's the next step between climate change and tourism? And these are some provinces that still get some gains. Gorontalo, Lampung, and West Nusa Tenggara. But more negative impacts rather than provinces with negative impacts than the positive one. Here, it is interesting to see how the public thinks about the scientists of climate change. In scientist community, among scientist community, 97% agree that anthropogenic greenhouse gases caused by humans, they agree. But although by the general public, they still arguing anthropogenic global warming, they think there is scientific agreement, 45%. Only 45%. And then the other 55% think the science is unsettled or don't know. They are still doubtful towards the scientists. So there is still homework, more active partnerships between general public and the scientists. In these models, the scientists, risk assessors, analyze using models, computer softwares, uncertainty, the hazards, loss, vulnerability, and then after they get the results, they communicate it to the general public, and the public has their own perception. After considering their perception, and then they combine into the risk management to the provincial or national level to make the regulation standard and making the decision, and then go back to the initial assessment. Here we see how diverse, even in the scientific community itself, the methods used can be quantitative or qualitative. The normative can be descriptive or prescriptive, even top-down or bottom-up. Perspective, natural scientists, of course, they focus on natural processes, while the social scientists, they on social process, but how do they communicate each other? There are still lots of homeworks, even in the scientist community itself. Although they said that anthropogenic global warming is the cause of climate change, but the follow-up programs or the actions, maybe there are many differences among the scientist community themselves. Here, science and uncertainty. the emission uncertainty, the model uncertainty, and the impact uncertainty. But actions are needed in the midst of uncertainty. Why? Yeah, because we should take action. We cannot wait until all the certainty getting reduced until so small. For example, here, by the biodiversity, the remaining main species abundance in Brazil and Indonesia. If we do nothing in our forests, do nothing, for the abundance of the species still decrease. So, in action, status quo, avoid the situations, it is not the best choice so far. Here we can see in America, in the United States, more climate change action supported by Democrat rather than by its partners, the Republican. In Indonesia, we have not observed such situations. Here, as we explained before, uncertainty. Uncertainty in science is quite low emission scenario, greenhouse gas situation. But if already discussed about environmental and socio-economic impacts, more uncertainty, higher uncertainty. But it should be started from now, including the envelope of uncertainty. One would take in the central government, in scientists, in Bappenas, uncertainty relatively small. But if we go down, local action, local community, local impacts, and then it getting bigger, the uncertainty. Here, Shannon McLaughlin, climate change in Indonesia. 31% of the population of the respondents, they are not concerned. They're not concerned maybe because they don't have enough money or even they don't have enough knowledge. Most important thing, 1/3 of our population still not concerned. Maybe they are very busy with daily needs. So, but on the other hand, we have the proportions mostly equal to that in the British. 30% high concern. We don't say the income per capita, of course, is very different, but the proportions of the respondents almost similar. 1/3 here and then 1/3 here. Here, climate change in Indonesia, they understand increased temperature, increased storm and floods, landslides. They compare it with the natural disaster. In many types of natural disaster that topple almost maybe every 2 weeks in our country. So they consider it, oh, okay, they're already accustomed to that such of natural disaster, so they can adapt to climate change. Global risk perception is built up of scientific framing rather than social framing because it is universally accepted. So the universities, lecturers, scientists, and students normally use global risk perception with scientific framing. While the local people, they use local social framing, local risk perception. How come? We want to increase the participation of the general public, but we use global perception. Now it is the time to compare the two each other. So the power of social media to fight climate change, including that can be used in such discrepancies. Here to offer like a course, Climate Change 101. I don't know, in our campus here, Satya Wacana, we have biology, but we have not had Climate Change 101. Compared to that, in UK, they have a degree in climate change. Here in Istanbul, they have a course in climate change. We maybe should follow their examples. Youth Open Space, 40+ young Southeast Asians reveal they feel the effects of climate change. We are close each other in ASEAN. 80% they have taken actions. So it is good with social media, especially between Jakarta and Bangkok, the two cities that predicted to be shrinking, submerged in water for, 2 or 30, flooding below sea surface in some areas. Bangkok and Jakarta maybe can prepare for the partnerships. 50% of youth think ASEAN governments to do better. That's good. They can be observed. They already became observers. 59% of the ASEAN youth watching their own governments, and then they're responding with some programs, some planning. 31%. Most important thing, where this happens, can the university become the motor to adding some solutions and to do some partnerships with the local government? Here in Cambodia, they look quite simple. Local community resilience, build added local community knowledge, partnership with the government, follow United Nations agenda, international level, local community planning. Less complex than Indonesia programs in climate change, but less developed than the Chinese people. The Chinese people, 94% believe climate change is happening. They know low carbon transition, CO2 emission, 83% of the population. They're satisfied with low carbon performance of the city. And then they think that they can participate something because personal behavior influence the carbon cycles. So they believe low carbon development related to personal behavior, and maybe because they have quite lots of money, they're willing to pay extra for climate friendly products, and it will influence the industries in China. But personal choice to reduce your contribution, so we come from global to personal, global to local, general to personal, low impact emission, change the light bulbs. We can have annual climate savings in number of tons CO2 per year. Moderate impacts, recycle, wash clothes in cold water, not using hot water, change the car with gasoline mixed with battery, hybrid car. That's a moderate middle impact, or even high impact. Less consume meat produced by cows, lots of methane in their waste. So eat a plant-based diet. We already participate in high impact emission reduction. By green energy with not using car, that's the examples. But it's personal choice. Personal change for climate change for the citizens of Helsinki metropolitan area. It looks like the community in Helsinki and Norway, not only the people, the citizenship of their nation, they already become the world citizens. They become the world citizen. Personal training for the citizens of Helsinki. The question is, how come Indonesia, Jakarta government can provide such relatively similar trainings for people of Jakarta? We're waiting. The other one from personal move to indigenous and community response. Said 70% of the world's tropical forests from 42 countries. So don't only talk about the forest area and the economic impact, but including this indigenous and community response in take care of the forest. In international, we see Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, WMO and United Nations Environmental Program, and NAP Global Network, including pressure for high-level political support and then knowledge in university to get the planning, to involve the planning, and especially different actors, including multi-sectorals, to participate together. Here, that I already said before. There is a good posters here. The Nature Conservancy. We are united by nature, but guided by science. So nature and science should be support each other. What is citizen science? Public participation in the science process is known as citizen science. Early examples were around monitoring the birds, animal sightings. Today has become to range ever broadening range of activities. Allows like-minded people to share knowledge, lets government directly interact in open science, open society, and open policy. We want to increase general public participation. How? Why don't university form partnerships with local community so we can create citizen science in our local community? So if they get aware, so they can support the climate change program. Remember, there are still 30% of Central Javanese people ignore about climate change. And here, our last slides, Indonesia, you see in the green box here, all of these are the potency of our country. While here, the implementation. For examples, Indonesia is global rank number 3 in most diversity countries. But our management program to maintain that biodiversity, not number 3. We left behind, number 78. Although we have number 8 global, number 8 forest areas based on the size of forest areas in our country. We rank number 8. And we have number 3 in biodiversity. But the implementations of the programs, 78. We are a country with number 3 coastline lengths in the world. But our environmental management of oceans down to number 137. We're considered 133, and then we get negative rank, number 6 most polluted countries in the world. Even Jakarta air quality sometimes considered as number 1 in the world. Indonesia, largest economy member, G20, ranked number 10 in the world based on GDP. But policy, corruption, distribution of wealth, still 118. Global rank, Indonesia have oil, coal resource number 3, oil number 27, but left behind in renewable energy. It should be pushed up to be smaller numbers, higher rank renewable energy. This is our situation. So we still more or less, we are in a good position. Climate change performance index rise up to number 24 now in 2020 compared to the previous year. But still lots of things to do. Pollution, policy, oceans management, biodiversity, energy, and most important thing, the young people, they fight, they already started their campaign. Indonesia tenggelam kalau kita diam, not for status quo. Climate emergency, darurat iklim. Youth for climate change Indonesia. Change your behavior before the climate change you. Sounds good. Contributor to climate change Indonesia is one of the contributors to climate change, pit fires, forest fires, oil explorations, coal exploration, but also the worst impacted by climate change. So how do we respond? How do we prepare our action? We as a part of global community should take action, especially if we get a very strong potential in natural resource. We should do that. We have 260 million people. We are in the rank number 10. So we should be responsible and participation. But at the other end, we have still lots of poor people, not well-educated people, not enough funds. That's the young people should prepare from now to provide solution and to do these programs 20, 30 years from now. So I conclude climate change also a global life change. It's not only one person, but interpersonal, not one generations, intergenerations, not one community, intercommunity, one government, not one government, but intergovernment, industry network, and then media, multimedia, including social media. So we do some research, we do some analysis and assessment about impacts, but still we need to develop further partnership, especially including young people and especially between general public and the scientists that I have not observed quite so significant in these recent years. And of course, common actions together. Thank you very much. Ya, saya kembalikan.
Thank you very much.
We start for discussion.
Yes. Okay. Thank you very much for the very inspiring and insightful presentation, Dr. Johan. And we will have a round of virtual applause given to Pak Johan. You can now click the reactions button and then click clap hands to do the virtual clapping ceremony. Yeah. Okay, let's continue on to our question and answer session. Please let me to share my screen. And so, yes, we are now entering the question and answer session. We are open for any questions or comments from all of the participants, honorable participants. So could you please now write down your questions or type it in the chat box. Kami mengundang seluruh peserta yang terhormat untuk dapat mengajukan pertanyaan terkait tema ke-13 dari webinar SDGs yang sudah dibawakan dengan sangat luar biasa oleh Pak Johan di sore hari ini tentang climate action. Dan kami mengundang sekali lagi bisa menuliskan pertanyaan di dalam kolom chat, or you can also use the reactions button and then click on raise hand button, like what I'm doing right now. You can do it also, and then we will allow the microphone to be unmuted. Okay, it seems that we have our first question from Pak Slamet Haryono. Ya, silakan Pak, bisa mengajukan pertanyaan langsung. Sorry. Okay.
Okay. Congratulations for Pak Johan for the presentation. I have one statement and also one question. The first statement is that climate change is actually a real problem in our current situation. I give the example, but how this issue is very important is when our parent is a farmer, the rising of the temperature also caused the failure of harvest time. At the other side, also we found that the spread of insect and the pest is common when the temperature increasing. So in this situation, we can find that many young men with background of their parents may be a farmer, they continue failed to go marriage. So I will tell to you all the students, all of us, I think a young men and young women, we should take serious concern about this climate change. This is related to the second, my question to Pak Johan, what would we can do in current situation to minimize the impact of climate change? I mean, what we can do in daily like that, Pak Johan? So I think that's the real contribution to the situation. I think that's all, Pak Johan. Thank you for the presentation. Good afternoon.
Thank you very much for the question, Pak Slamet Haryono. And let me give the screen to Pak Johan to then directly answer the question.
Yeah,
Silakan, Pak.
directly to the single questions. What can we do in the current situations? We already watch the maps of the increase of sea levels, Jakarta, Banten. So we expect young people, scientists from that area, do some partnerships, set up long-term strategic research topics. How to mitigate and adapt towards the increase of sea level rise in Banten and Jakarta and flooding. So it should be not only being published in the high reputed journals in Scopus, Q1, but the results, this is the young professionals, they contribute to build up the country. So especially from the university in the mid-20s. So 20 years from now, they become the director, they become the manager of environmental department, such program in provincial government of Jakarta or Banten or other provinces as well. So the university cannot just sit quietly and think that climate change only in discussions, in global or international seminar, national workshop, or in research topics. But they should ask the students, where do you come from? I come from Banten, from Jakarta. In 20 years from now, are you interested in such topic? Yes, sir. You may can join us. You may join us in doing some research, and you should change. You should transform the research results into a policy, government policy, developmental policy. So I'm very happy. Our university has PhD and master program in development studies, interdisciplinary. So why don't we try our school, our department? Students can combine such policy and they can communicate with their partners in the government and the NGO. So it will broaden the partnership. So that's one point in the science point of view. They're relevant in young people in Kalimantan, Sulawesi, coal, batu bara. So that's why they use plants to reduce the emissions from coal-fired industries, something like that. So local content. But we normally discuss local content in academic terms. We have not related to local welfare of the local people. Even though the climate change in that local areas, it should be integrated in one pack. That's the responsibility of senior lecturer, researcher in certain university in each area. And then your questions and your statement relate to your statement, Pak Slamet. Are we talking 2030, 2050? 2050 still 30 years from now. So our undergraduate students here, they age in just early 20s. So there are 30 years to develop. What kind of country we are in the next 30 years? But our students, our undergraduate students, now, they have 30 years in their lifetime to develop themselves as environmental leaders. I'm asking our undergraduate students here at our university, can you perform the first 10 years as local leaders in Kabupaten, Kota, Salatiga, Solo? In the next 10 years, you are the leaders in local. Local means county, Kabupaten, Kota. And then 20 years from now, you in leaders in Central Java, in Papua, North Sulawesi. And then 30 years from now, everybody well aware of you. You often in televisions, multimedia, email, or I mean social media. So 30 years from now, you are the professional politicians that can provide direction or provide critics to the central government based on data, based on experience. And by doing that, you already have a lot of the general public that don't have access to the central government and central parliament. But this is the contribution. So environmental sciences should not be closed or limited only from people or only from students from natural sciences. But they should be open to people, students from social studies, something like that, to be communicate each other. And this is our country. So look at that data before. 30% ignorance. They don't know about climate change program. So thank you, Pak Slamet. Can work together in this one. So we don't let our father, the farmers that fail in their harvest, because fail in harvest not only in agriculture sectors, it will lead to poverty. So that's we try to fight for this not to happen. Okay, thank you and good luck with your interest. Thank you, Mas Ryan. Saya kembalikan.
Baik, thank you very much for the response, Pak Johan, and thank you very much for the question, Pak Slamet. Now we will continue. If there is other questions from the participants, you can also ask in Bahasa Indonesia. Jadi jangan ragu, Bapak Ibu peserta juga dapat menanyakan kepada Pak Johan dengan menggunakan Bahasa Indonesia. Dapat mengajukan pertanyaannya di dalam kolom chat. Silakan bisa langsung menuliskan pertanyaannya. Atau juga bisa mengklik tombol reactions, lalu mengklik fitur raise hand seperti yang saat ini sedang saya lakukan. Bapak Ibu juga bisa melakukannya. Dan setelah itu akan kami izinkan untuk bisa di-unmute mikrofonnya. Kita masih punya sedikit waktu untuk 2 or 3 questions. So if you have any other questions, dear participants, please do so and ask questions to our honorable speaker, Dr. Johan.
Yeah, maybe in Indonesians they feel comfortable. That's okay. Kita diskusi bahasa Indonesia.
Ya, baik Pak. Kita juga bisa berdiskusi bahasa Indonesia. Silakan Bapak Ibu, saudara-saudari terhormat yang sudah hadir di seri webinar di sore hari ini bisa mengajukan pertanyaan terkait tentang climate action. Oh baik, sepertinya Bu Deborah ingin mengajukan pertanyaan. Silakan.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mas Ryan, and also Pak Johan for a very insightful material today. I came from science also, Pak, but today I really learned a lot from you. Thank you very much. I would like to just ask a question, Pak, about how the young community has to do for this climate change. As we know, we have a lot of publication and also education for the society about how to prevent the climate change and also how to take action, yeah, for for the climate change that we do experience recently. I think about the publication or the education is still not enough, because the changing of the behavior of the young generation is not significant, right, sir? So do you have any suggestion, Pak? Because you already have your ideas, your research, your opinion, of course, about this climate change. And I think this is your expert also about environment management. Um, how we as a young generation can educate ourselves and also educate people, because yeah, as you said a while ago, that this is our responsibility, because this is not a simple problem. This is a big problem recently.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Thank you, Bu Deborah. We are lucky, starting from this year, academic year, we will have a general course, university, general education, 28 credit hours, 28 SKS. One of them is environmental science. And this is general course. We're talking about first year students. Of course, the specific contents by the school, by the faculty, is not much. So we, the lecturers here at our university from so many departments, and put together in one subject, we should observe and find what kind of general skills each student in our class have, especially in environmental science class. If this young man is a good communicator, if he or she is a good communicator, to whom that he or she were expecting to communicate. Maybe he or she is very good communicate to the general public speaking, but not so good to the government and or to the industrial sectors due to some reasons. We try not to push tuntas the completeness of the subject by pouring so many topics. So I heard from Pak Iwan, although no practicum, no lab skills, but there are some small projects, something like that. So be cautious, not too much focus on the completeness of the subjects and forget to see the empathy of our students towards the global warming, climate change, and their eagerness to do something for their community. We should change the evaluation sheet. It's not so important anymore. You are so smart, or some students, maybe they can answer so many questions about global warming, but they don't have pure heart for their people. Is that what Satya Wacana stands for? Of course not. And why do we conduct general education for the first year students? We can use it to identify which children that have patience to serve the needy one, the poor family. We need some students very bright in debates against politicians. That's good. I cannot do that. I'm expecting some help from them. Yeah, and there are some with local businessmen as a mediator, negotiator. Look at the Indonesian people, a friendly, tolerant people. Sometimes we think out of the box, and our government put too much frame. They're good framework, but we should think clearly. the first 10 years, the first 5 years after they graduate, what are they going to do? Okay, they said, sir, I'm interested in fishery. I know in some villages, the fish floating, they died because of some toxicants, poisons. And I know the concentration's high, the pollutants come from certain industries, but I don't know about the legal system, how to communicate to the government, how to report to them, how to sue the industry or whatsoever. Of course, he is a first-year student. We think the first step 5 years after he graduates. So, okay, we understand the student in the first year, and then in kerja praktek, field project, tahun ketiga, tahun keempat, we already find an NGO partner specialized for him. That's why he registered. I'm happy to supervise, to help poor people in fisheries sectors, especially when they are dealing with the decrease of catch or harvest, and especially if they have conflicts with the industries. But I don't have certain skills. Please help me, and I'm very happy to do it in a field project in year 3. See, so we don't need to talk about partnership with other university. We only talk about our class, environmental science class at Satya Wacana for the first year student. And while they reach the 3rd year, the 4th year, it will be a surprise. Maybe 50 years from now, some farmers, nelayan fishermen, come to university, meet the rectors, the dean, and said, thank you. Your alumni has supported us and take care our fishery. So now we have more welfare. Thank you, KSW. And maybe Pak Johan already retired. And I'm very happy and feel still young, still full of strong spirit. And oh God, thank you very much. Finally, we have graduates that continue your values, university values dealing with climate change. So 4 years, quite short. So we just take one subject and complete with A grade, and then another subject, another semester, and inauguration, graduation. So I'm watching, I'm waiting. What kind of students that have patience to take care of local people? And then who are that mostly happy working in the laboratory for hours and hours, days and days? So there are different treatments. So I'm asking some of my students in biology department. That's good. You protest me. But how many students want to help me to protest maybe local parliament? Do you have a gut, nyali to do that? Oh, they said, oh, Pak Johan, maybe it's not me, something like that. So, okay. So we are doing business as usual. Or climate change cannot be performed with BAU, business as usual. It's out of the box. This is a new life. So if we can fight climate change, Indonesia is not only become number 10 based on GDP, whatever, we can contribute much. Of course, we have lots of potential, but that natural resource. Once again, human resource, education. What kind of education do we have? So the biology curriculum, now I'm the chairman, the coordinator of biology curriculum. I'm thinking the government asks graduate profiles. Graduate profiles, can they do so many things? So we cannot follow the examples from the United States and Australia because they don't have many poor people. They don't have less educated people. Now we think we should increase our welfare with them, with them. And then the next generation will be wealthier. So that's as I said to Pak Slamet, 30 years to prepare professional leader in national level is enough. Now we go back the first 10 years in Kabupaten Kota. Please do something, and I expect my school biology will focus with Kabupaten Magelang, Kabupaten Semarang, Kota Salatiga, what kind of program in the next 5 years. So please don't change the topic so often. Okay, yeah, nice talk, Deborah. And then hopefully, I believe that our students, they have patience. Maybe foreign students smarter than them, but they feel they bear the burden. That's the most important, because they not only become professionals, but they are leaders. They are leaders. They are servants for their public. That's the most important thing. And sometimes in the midst of this business, I mean, too many administration, blah, 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 we forget to keep the track of our students. Yeah, I hope Bu Deborah also supports all our students like that. Hopefully it answers your question. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pak Johan. It do answer my question. Yeah, we hope that we can do it in line together, ya, Pak.
Yeah.
So there will be many agents of change, and we can change our world. Thank you,
Okay.
Pak.
Yeah. I hope some other students, undergraduate students, yeah, maybe if we know some people, I can invite one of them. But if they're biology students, of course I should understand Pradita ya. Tadi aku lihat ada Juan, mana? 432019001. Juan, is that you? Juan from biology or something? Yeah, you dapat tanya.
Maybe I don't have any questions, sir. I think I already enough understand from the presentation.
So what are you planning for your next 10 years? If you become an environmental manager, what are you going to do?
Maybe become the agent of change for the environment, yes, sir, for other people, so people understand how important the environment it exists for the nature. So many resources that became decreased, so we have to change our lifestyle like that, sir.
In which sectors of environment? Agriculture, fishery?
Maybe in our culture, sir.
Pardon?
In our culture.
Aquaculture?
Aquaculture.
Oh, aquaculture.
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds good. For freshwater or marine fish? For freshwater fish or marine fish? Oh, you miss out some questions. Oh, marine fish, sir. Okay, thank you. We have some problems of communication. At least you already focus which sectors, and then you should ask technical skills. That's for us from biology, technical skills to do some measurements of environment in marine fish and marine water. But you should communicate with fishermen. Yeah, and that's different skills. That's social skills. Now we have Campus Merdeka. So if you keep interested in that issue, please take 2 or 3 subjects in social and communication skills, social networking and communication skills. You should understand what is interdisciplinary course that you should take if you interested in marine fish and fishermen. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for the comments, Pak Johan, and for the good questions from Bu Deborah as well, and for the comments as well from Juan. And because we are running out of time, I would like to invite Pak Johan to give closing statements regarding today's section of the 13 SDGs Global Webinar Series. Please,
Yeah.
the screen is yours.
Yeah, I think there are two options. One impacts that makes us scary while we heard global warming impacts, climate change. But after we understand, then we should communicate our understanding to our friends, our colleagues that still in ignorance situations about the importance of this global warming. So each of us is responsible to communicate with our own language, our own examples to our partners, our families. So now it's the time not to ignore one to another and think that it's the government responsibility. This is also becoming personal responsibility. That the first one of the issue. Another one, options, actions. Actions, if we developing integrated actions, so it's not only dealing about climate change, but we can relate it to developmental sectors, related development sectors, if agriculture, fishery, health. So if you a type of people not very happy to work with the computer in the desk, in the office, but in the field, fine. But you should be supported with a real good planner, manager, auditor that work with the data, with the documents, with the communication. So in these efforts, our efforts in global policy, we should develop two partnerships in local level. You don't pay in this level for global partnership. That's the responsibility of Pak Jokowi and his team. But remember, global warming is not only science, natural science, it's all of the science, including social science. So we will have more friends, we can serve more community. Okay, one hand, learning a lot is good, but that's not enough. We should apply to certain community, and that's our roles as educated people. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Once again, I would like to invite all participants to give a virtual round of applause by clicking the reactions button and clap hands. Thank you. And now we will have a short photo session. So could you all please enable your video? Kami mengundang seluruh peserta untuk dapat mengaktifkan videonya sejenak. Kita akan mengambil foto bersama. Kita akan mengambil sesi foto bersama singkat. Sekali lagi kami mohon bantuan dari seluruh peserta yang masih berada di ruangan Zoom di sore hari ini. Terima kasih sudah tetap tinggal di sini dan tetap mengikuti sampai akhir. Kita akan sesi foto bersama sejenak. We will have a quick photo session. Once again, I invite all participants to enable their video. Okay, we will do this the first screen. Please give a big smile to the camera. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, continuing to the next slide. Please hold still and give a big smile. Tetap membuka kamera dan tetap tersenyum. 1, 2, 3.
Sukses.
Okay, one more slide. 1, 2, and 3. Okay. Okay, thank you very much for enabling your camera. Terima kasih sekali lagi sudah mengaktifkan fitur kamera. Dan kita sudah sampai di penghujung sesi webinar SDGs di sore hari ini. I would like once again to say thank you to Pak Johan for being the speaker for this afternoon session. Very insightful, sangat menginspirasi kami semua Pak untuk bisa lebih aktif dalam memerangi krisis cuaca dan kondisi climate action yang terjadi saat ini. Mari kita bersama-sama bisa lebih aktif lagi dalam membuat dunia yang lebih baik. Baik, kita berikut saya akan share untuk link evaluation form dan akan saya kirimkan juga di dalam kolom chat. Silahkan untuk dapat langsung diakses. Untuk rekaman dari sesi webinar hari ini juga akan kami segera upload di channel YouTube BKH IKSW. Jadi kami mengundang para peserta juga bisa dapat subscribe to our YouTube channel, and you will see all of our footage of our webinar session. And if we have completed all the 17 sessions, we will then upload it all together. You will see from the first to the 17th session of SDGs webinar series. Silahkan untuk mengklik link evaluation form yang sudah terdapat di dalam kolom chat dan juga sudah tertampil di layar. Untuk alamat email mohon dimasukkan dengan benar agar e-certificate dapat terkirim ke alamat email yang sudah Bapak Ibu Saudara-saudari daftarkan. Begitu pula link untuk materi presentasi sudah kami masukkan di dalam emailnya tersebut. Dan sekali lagi kami ucapkan terima kasih untuk kehadirannya. We will see you again next week, and we will discuss another topics, that is SDGs number 14, the 14 goals of the SDGs, that is life below water. Tanggal 9 Juli 2021, hari Jumat minggu depan, di jam yang waktu dan yang sama, jam 3 sampai jam 5 sore, kita akan membahas tema SDGs yang ke-14, yaitu Life Below Water, Conserve and Sustainably Use the Oceans, Sea, and Marine Resources for Sustainable Development. Sampai bertemu di sesi minggu depan. Once again, thank you for coming. Have a nice day, have a nice weekend. Stay healthy and stay safe. Terima kasih semuanya. Terima kasih Pak Johan.
Terima kasih Pak Johan sekali lagi sudah berkenan menjadi pembicara kami Pak. Selamat weekend.